What's up, everybody? It's Izzy, and in this video we're going to talk about the relationship between arousal and your training. Now, of course, I'm not talking about sexual arousal here, or am I? No, I'm not. I'm talking about, how hyped up you get for a set, how jacked up you get, how much adrenaline you summon. For lack of a more precise sciencey term, any of these things will work. But the bottom line is that most of you know what I'm talking about. How hyped up you get, or how psyched up you get for a set, is going to be an approximation of your level of arousal underneath the bar. So arousal and performance probably exist along an inverted U-shaped curve, meaning that there is a level of arousal that is too little for optimal performance and a level of arousal that is too high for optimal performance. So arousal, how active, your nervous system is and all of those things will correlate to how much weight you can lift. That is absolutely true. In fact, there are certain people who are so good at getting psyched up that they can lift, say, 5 to 10% more weight when they fully psych up versus when they're calm. However, there are advantages and disadvantages of getting very psyched up. Number one, of course, is that you can lift more weight. That's pretty much the big advantage. You will have a higher performance more often than not. However, with enough arousal, your technique will also start to break down. And eventually there's a trade-off where the technical breakdown outweighs the benefit in terms of, that nervous system activity, and you'll actually lift less. Also, the more aroused you get, the quicker you will be to fatigue. This is another important factor. If, say, you're doing a workout that requires you to do sets across, so let's say you have to do 6 sets of 8 that day, maybe you don't want to get as super hyped up like you're going to fucking war for set number 1. However, maybe if you only had 1 set that day and you were supposed to test a new 3-rep max, it might be more appropriate to get close to, a truly fully psyched up mind state. However, the big point that I want to make here is that more often than not, what I see in novice and intermediate lifters is a need to switch their mind state away from getting so hyped up for their sets. So the reason for this is pretty simple. Novices, at the end of their linear progression, because most novices run a linear progression, I did, most of you probably did as well, you're barely surviving the workouts. Barely. You go into the workout fatigued, you're accumulating fatigued, the weights don't feel good on your back, it feels heavy, and you surprise yourself that you can even do the workout most of the time at the end of linear progression. And when you're in this place, this evil, dark place of linear progression, at the end of it, you are just doing everything you can to survive, including getting very psyched up for your sets. And this could also happen with intermediate trainees who use more intensity-based programming. So say something like 5-3-1, where your progress kind of relies on a top set AMRAP, or other programs that have a similar nature. And people get into this mentality of they need to go all out, psych up, to see progress. And what I'm here to tell you, and I've said this in other videos, is that in the long run, for late intermediates and advanced athletes, really volume is the more important driver of progress. And the thing is that your arousal level directly correlates with how well you're going to tolerate volume in a given training session. Meaning that 5 sets where you're fully psyched up is going to have a bigger stress load than 5 sets of volume that you did with a more calm and focused energy. And this becomes important because, in my experience, what happens with people who don't make this mentality shift is that they simply fatigue very quickly when they have to do volume work. They can't get a lot of volume in, and they make worse progress. So what I want you guys to do is make the switch where you realize that arousal and hype and psyching up are a tool that you need to know how to do, and a tool that has a time and a place. And that time and place is not every single workout. And this is the mentality shift that I'm talking about, is you should not be going into every single one of your work sets fully psyched up. Again, there's reasons that I already mentioned. 1, it's going to cause worse technique. 2, you're going to fatigue more quickly. 3, you're going to make the workout more stressful in general and harder to recover from. So when you get to the point in your training where you need rather large volumes to progress, and this is in the later intermediate, early advanced stage, generally the way that you're going to do this is through sub-maximal volume. And when you're doing these sub-maximal volume sets, you need to learn how to bring a focused energy to the set where you're really paying attention to all of the things, all of the feedback that your body is giving you during the set, rather than just going crazy and getting your nervous system as hyped up as possible. And this is going to make a tremendous difference in your ability to not fatigue so quickly during sets across with submaximal volume work, to recover from larger amounts of volume in general, and to lift using better technique. Not only that, but it will really help prevent mental burnout. And I don't have any hard evidence for this, but I would suspect that it will also help you stay healthier in the long run. So anyways, guys, that's really all I have to say on the subject. To summarize, my key points here are as follows. There is an optimal level of arousal for performance, right? Not too little and not too much. However, there's an optimal level of arousal for a particular training session as well. If you're in the middle of a volume block and you're doing lots of submaximal volume sets, you should bring a more calm and focused energy to your set instead of that, gun to the head, I'm just trying to finish my linear progression mentality that most novices and early intermediates have. On the other hand, you still need to learn and remember how to summon forth more psyched up energy as well for those situations where, let's say that you're at a competition, you're lifting a 1 rep maximum, or let's just say it's more appropriate because you're in a peaking block and you don't have a lot of sets to do that day and you're supposed to be testing or something like that. That would be more appropriate to then use a greater deal of arousal. Of course, though, all things come down to a bit of individualization. So some people are going to be lifters that are just more effective with a little bit more arousal, and there's going to be other lifters who are just more calm by their nature. So there is room for individualization here, finding out what works for you. But overall, in my experience, the biggest mentality shift that you need to make when you're going from intermediate to advanced, or from novice to late stage intermediate, is you need to learn how to calm down a bit and focus on your technique and getting in good quality reps rather than going crazy and finishing the sets by any means necessary. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. As always, my friends, have a nice day. Good luck with your training. Peace.